Alcohol Beyond This Point podcast.
This isn't two podcasters talking business. This is two business guys trying to podcast.
The clap that clap smiles back. Clapper.
Wow.
Hi.
Fantastic entry.
My name is Entry,
And my name is Fantastic.
and welcome to the Fantastic Entry Show, where we rate entries.
Goddamn best opening of a podcast. I'm Tyler.
My name is Willows.
Great. Got it. Perfect.
Awesome.
Cut
Great.
the rest out.
Okay, bye.
I actually kind of feel that way right now. I'm like, I don't know why, but I just seem to make it a hobby or a habit to just always work 12+ hour days on podcast nights, and it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, I find it funny that you're like, earlier this summer, you're like, work-life balance. I'm never going to work a weekend again. But then you just work 14 hours every day instead of working weekends.
Yeah.
So
true.
it's like, it's probably more time.
No, it's just podcast nights.
Because you don't want to see me sooner.
Yeah, for sure. I probably did a solid 30 hours last week. It was pretty chill.
I thought you were going to say today. It's like, yeah, me too.
No, I think I did 30 hours last week. It was really chill. But the week before that, it was, I don't know, probably like 60. So
How much do like people usually work? 40, right?
40 is standard, yeah.
Yeah. I either work 150 or 7.
True.
So
So it averages.
it averages out to like a real job, I'd say.
Yeah, no, you're probably right.
Yeah, and that's just what I get for working in a really seasonal business.
Yeah.
Yeah,
There's some benefits to that.
definitely. I think a lot. Like I'm only a couple employees away from completely disconnecting for 6 months out of the year.
Yeah, true. That'd be pretty sweet. Yeah, man, I can't express how much I want to get out of the service industry, like in the next 5 years, like because it's just a rat race.
Tyler
right?
works at Wendy's, if
Yeah.
that wasn't obvious, the service
Yeah.
industry. Yeah.
Yeah. No, even as a contractor, which I am.
Oh, yeah.
Um,
Can I have a Surface Studio shirt?
you can have this.
No,
one.
I don't want that one.
It's literally in tatters. Possibly. I think we just got a shipment, so I'll see if there's any kicking around. Maybe I'll just sling you one. But yeah, I think like the service industry is like, although there's constantly more money coming in and more business coming in, it's fucking punishing, man. Like I'm fine with being in it, but it's just kind of depressing also at the same time, realizing that it's like in literally overnight it can evaporate for you. Like you see established contractors sometimes fold up in 6 months. They have a couple people quit and it's just like a snowballing effect. Or my drama of this week is our glass supplier, tempered glass supplier. They do shower doors and stuff. The owner died a few months ago, and it, I guess, got taken over by someone else. I don't know if it was like an inheritance thing or whatever, or sold. But the new owners are, for some reason, they literally want to run it into the ground. Like they're
Mood.
like, it's hard to describe how shitty they are, but it's like they basically said, we're just gonna jack up the prices so high and so fast that hopefully all the customers leave and then we can close the doors. That's like their business strategy, and I don't understand why. I think it's because it's an inheritance thing, and I don't know why they don't just sell the business. I don't know what's going on, but basically it's usually should be like a 2 to 3 week turnaround for product. I'm running on like month 4 for something right now, and then they fucked it up, and then apparently half the people quit in that period of time, and then because all these people have quit, there's literally one guy left in the company that can like competently actually take and make orders, and he's been on vacation for 2 weeks and will be on vacation for another week yet. And then the only other person left in the office got hired like 30 days ago. She doesn't know what the fuck's going on. And then it's like, I'm like, well, okay, well, when can I get the replacement product? And they're like, 3 months. Or sorry, 2 months, 4 to 6 weeks. plus the week and a half to get it like settled out with the order taker. It's like fucking hell. It's like just refund my money, man.
At this
like
point, yeah.
I can go scout out another company, create an account with them, start cold, and probably get my product sooner than you can rectify the thing you fucked. Like, incredible that a business like that is so busy they can't keep up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Incredible. Like,
Yeah.
I got to get into fucking glass, man. Like,
Why
we're
did-
getting it all the way from Vancouver.
Yeah.
Our two options are we have a Vancouver location, we have one in Regina that we use, and I think now we're using another one in Calgary, but it's like there's literally like one or two per province. We don't use the Winnipeg guys because they're so shitty, and it's like it makes very little difference for us whether we use Winnipeg guys or Vancouver guys apparently. But yeah, I'm like, I gotta get into the fucking tempered glass business.
I just remember you telling me when you started into contracting something along the lines of like, in this city, if you just like pick up the phone and do the job for the money they pay you, you're like already past 50% of the contractors in this city.
Yeah, no, I think I was told the bar was even lower, but this was for drywallers, granted. But
I just see people like every day. I see people post on Facebook like, this contractor stole my deposit and like just disappeared and fucked this up and nailed into a fucking pipe and like all this shit. It's just like
what I've heard from people that are like in painting and kind of the more simple, like low barrier to entry trades, are like, if you have your own truck and you show up on the day that you said you were gonna show up, he's like, you're in the top 5%. That, which is incredible. And that's where you have like, are you familiar with what is it, like the student? Was it Student Works? No, not Student Works.
the painting one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it called Student Works?
No. Something pros, right?
Oh yeah. Why can we never remember things on this podcast? Probably has to do something to do with the drinking that we're doing.
I think
College Pro. That's
College
it.
Pro. There you go.
So
What did you say?
College Pro franchise. It's one of those businesses. It's like, it's almost like a breath on mirror business. It's like, yep, Fogs, you're hired.
Definitely. Well, is it? I think College Pro is one of those you got to pay them, right?
Yeah, it's
like,
franchise. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like one of those, not really a scam, but like kind of.
It's a decent business, but
like kind of like an MLM sort of situation.
It just has a lot of churn.
Yeah, because like
which I guess is kind of what it's designed to do. It's like, it's to get, like, it's kind of got an MLM feel to it, but
yeah,
you're basically supposed to, I think the idea of it is you're supposed to kind of get your stripes running that kind of business. And you hear a lot of entrepreneurs start their careers just with like a painting business.
Because it's
very common.
Very low barrier to entry,
Yeah.
very little equipment.
Don't need a lot of training.
Fucking kill me if I have to paint all day.
Yeah, no.
Do you remember painting my bar?
Yeah, terrible.
That almost ruined my life.
Yeah, it was terrible. I didn't like 1 minute of it. If you're a painter and you love it, like I know some painters and they fucking love their job. It's like, great, good for you. But it's like they're at a level of craft, where they're getting sought out.
Yeah.
Great. There's that in every category, but man, what a fucking rough industry to be in. And I don't know, it's like even with our best clients, best and favorite clients, we're going through something right now where it's like they're upset at us because we sent them a massive final invoice on a project. Let's say it was about $250,000 was the total scope, and the final bill was like all the overages above the initial quote and budget, and the overages are like creeping up to like 30 G's, which is obviously a pretty big bill to get at the end of a project, in addition to paying out the project. But it's like, it's a list, and we've been floating the cost of that
like
since the beginning.
15% over?
Yeah, but we've been, like, every single time, and none of them are our fault. It's like, with the builder, some floors were really fucked up, so we had to spend like $6,000 in like leveling compounds to like flatten out a floor. That's because the framing was so bad. It's like, get mad at your framers, and we got authorization in order to spend the money, and it's like, and they're still getting fucking mad at us.
Is that common for like stuff to go well over a quote?
I mean, 15% is like not crazy, but typically we don't go over at all.
Yeah. Wait, typically you don't, or typically contractors don't?
Oh, typically contractors do.
Okay, I've never
But
had anything built for me.
But
So
like, yeah, home builders almost always go over budget and over time because they're gonna price optimistically or give timelines optimistically when they're trying to win the bid.
so you should do the opposite. Under promise, over deliver, right?
Oh,
Like,
we do.
That's fucking step one in any service industry.
Yeah, we do, but like I said, none of these things were our mistakes. It was just things on the builder's side, and it was additions that were made along the ways, and like decisions made by the designer and by the builder, like of additional things that they wanted. And we were sending them every time we'd add on a new thing. We would send them a new update. It was all in a spreadsheet, completely itemized, day by day. Every time something was added, we let them know how much money it was as it went along. But I'm 99% sure they never looked at the fucking spreadsheet.
I never look at the spreadsheet.
Yeah, so then they get the bill and they're like, "What the fuck?" And now they've we had our next big project in hand that was going to be like in the six figures again, and they just rug pulled it out from under us
Because
like
you went
a
over
week,
the budget of
week
the other
before we're supposed to start.
Not ideal.
Yeah, so I mean it's fucking shitty. I mean not that we're like in need of work or anything, because we just also on the same day got another one of the biggest custom home builders in the city. The owner contacted us directly. Like that's a great thing about our network is we're not even subject to, well, contact the project manager, put in your bid. It's like we're doing the owner's house, and then if he likes us, he's gonna be like, okay, we want you as a mainstay. So we're getting in those doors, but at the same time we have this amazing relationship, or have had this amazing relationship with this great builder that's been like really good, and it's being soured over this stupid thing that has nothing to do with us. It's just incompetence of earlier trades that we're left to fix. And it's just because we have such a high standard, all of a sudden it's biting us in the ass. I don't know. It's like these types of things with service industry, you're going to like at every level. You see it if you're doing 10 and 11 figure contracts, it'll be the same fucking story. If you're doing, $10,000 contract or $500 contracts, it's the same fucking problems. It never goes away, and it's like it has its own headaches. But yeah, again, it's like you can just be crushed in a year by having like something like that go sideways, right, or go backwards on you. It's like your entire profit margin can be wiped out.
When I guess like one or two people, like one or two contracts like that just like refuse to pay you or something.
Yeah, or just take forever to pay you can be just as bad.
That's true. Yeah. Even though, it could be. Do you have net terms usually?
Typically stuff's paid pretty fast, and usually they pay pretty quickly.
What are your terms typically? Like how long?
Well, we usually invoice stuff. We get like a deposit for materials and stuff, so we don't have to float that.
What usually? So 15, like 25%.
Well, that of the total invoice, materials can be anywhere from 25 to 75%.
Sure, but what do you usually take as a deposit? Like
whatever the materials are.
Oh, okay. Floating based on the project.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we build the materials in advance, and then we on the back end we charge the labor.
Yeah.
So front 100% of the labor. Okay. But the terms on that is usually less than 30 days.
Okay. Yeah, because I get paid like net 30 for all my liquor that I sell.
Yeah, usually
to big stores. That's pretty standard. But like our friend that had a snow removal business, he was getting paid like net 120.
Yeah.
But it was a city contract. Like it was a town of like what 250, 300,000 people that he had the municipal government as a client, and they're like, yeah, we'll pay you in fucking 6 months, and you either like it or don't fucking shovel for us, right?
Yeah.
Like, so it was like he had to, but then that was like millions of dollars or like hundreds of thousands of dollars at least that he didn't see for 6 months. So he has to go through like an entire snow season
fronting it.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is really hard to do.
And they're like, get another, like, we'll find somebody else then, right?
Yeah.
So they had him by the balls. But like, yeah, like, because like if this client was like, okay, well, like, I guess they paid for all the materials, so you're not out on that. But if they're like, well, I fundamentally disagree with this overage, so I'll see you in court, and then go to small claims, and that takes fucking 9 months. Like, you could, in theory, be out tens of thousands of dollars for
And they're not paying you interest on that time.
No. I mean, unless the court, rules it, obviously. But,
Yeah.
If there's a dispute, like it's, it's scary, right?
That's why we pay almost all of our bills and invoices pay by credit card.
Fuck yeah.
So
Then you create
those,
your own net 30.
Well, yeah, exactly. You have those protections, right? Where if you, for example, this glass that we paid for, if they don't want to refund us, we'll just do a fucking chargeback. Like,
because they didn't sell you what they
Yeah.
said they were going to sell
and
you.
if they don't want to refund me, like, fuck off. I didn't get what I ordered. Like, I'm
Yeah.
not paying for this. And it's like, as a vendor, you don't want to deal with chargebacks because it fucks your credit.
Yeah, well, remember...
It's like having a collection. It's worse. It's the equivalent of having an open collection and then trying to go and get a car loan. Like,
Yeah.
that's how much it messes up a business. So, fun fact, if you want to fuck up a company that's being really shitty to
Maybe
you,
don't tell people this because...
well, no, it's something that people should know, especially entrepreneurs. Like, it's a very powerful tool.
Yeah, well, me and
people
you
underutilize
I
it.
think have been on this podcast saying that's like the shittiest thing you can do to a small business for, like, if you're trying to scam them.
Well, do it for cause. If you're trying to scam them, like, it's not going to actually impact them long term.
Yeah.
It's going to be a short term pain in the ass.
Yeah, because then once Visa or whoever does their investigation, they'll be like, no, fuck you. You're just trying to
Right, and
scam them.
they can release it pretty quickly. But if you have a just cause, then it can drag on.
Yeah.
And
then every time you get your credit pulled, those are there.
Yeah, and if there's settlements against you, it can damage your ability to get merchant services. And for those of you who don't know what merchant services are, if you go to a store that doesn't take credit or debit,
It's probably because MasterCard's like, no, you're a credit risk. Get the fuck out of here.
or they're tax evading.
Mood.
Yeah, so either
Just
they're doing
kidding.
it by choice or they've been told that they can't and they're not credible. So it's like there's a big security blanket system set up with using credit cards.
It's like I have allegedly, I do a lot of farmers markets. No, wait, that's not alleged. I do a lot of farmers markets in the summer. But allegedly, I have friends that I do farmers markets with that some of them, it's getting much less common nowadays to take only cash.
Yeah.
I knew a couple farmers like back in the day that would just do cash. And I know a couple still. But most people have debit machines, Square especially. And but I know a couple people allegedly that will tell CRA about all the debit sales and then be like, yeah, I don't take cash at markets.
Yeah.
That's just too much of a hassle, but they do, and then they just don't
Claim.
declare any of that cash.
Fair.
And like my one friend, his mortgage is in his girlfriend's or wife's name.
Yeah.
Not he's like, it's not a co-mortgage situation because they wanted her to get the first time home buyers thing or whatever.
Yeah.
So he just gives her cash for half of the mortgage every month.
Right.
And then how the fuck are they supposed to know, right? Like, so
Well laundered.
that's what I was saying.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, and he also runs a service. I'm not going to say any more information than that because you'll be able to know who he is, but he runs a service-based business without a product.
Right.
So money's like literally created out of nowhere.
Yeah.
That's
So fuck off. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's why a lot of contractors do side jobs for cash. Like it's almost ubiquitous.
Except
Like, this is my
remember
cash price, right?
CRA sued Rona
Yeah.
and Home Depot, and they had to give them all the receipts to their contractor credit cards, and they did it
Yeah.
because people were buying materials for cash, or not for cash, but for on their contractor card,
Yeah.
doing cash jobs and then not claiming the tax money. So CRA made them give up all the material costs. Like, well, where'd all this fucking tile go?
Yeah.
And then audited a ton of people.
Yeah. So that's, I mean, sloppy on their part too, of the contractor.
Oh yeah, no. If you're gonna fucking tax evade, buy everything in cash with no paper trail. Like,
Yeah, that 3% discount you're getting is not worth it.
destroy the fucking receipts and pay in cash.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's because they can't not cash in those VIP like member points,
Yeah. And that's just getting greedy.
which is stupid.
If you're gonna break the law, don't get greedy, right?
Yeah.
Get away with what you can get away with. Don't fucking push it.
Yeah. So that's one of my grievances of the service business. I mean, on the flip, obviously there's a lot of benefits, but I'm just gonna complain today.
That's fine. We're allowed.
Yeah, another one that I don't know how much wait to give this intel. And obviously I'm not going to name names or give any specifics, but I got this from a competitor of this company. So, I mean, take it with a grain of salt, I guess, or maybe it's a good source. I don't know. If they've got the dirty on their competition, whatever. I'm taking it with a grain of salt. But anyways, as a small guy working for a big builder, especially if they're really ambitious as a big builder, one thing you do have to worry about is that they, especially if you're working with them a lot, that they're going to come in and fucking headhunt your talent.
Oh, steal your people?
Yeah.
That's
and
interesting.
offer them more money because they're paying, the subcontractor obviously higher than the hourly value of the people on site because of whatever the cost of running a business. It's
Yeah.
usually roughly a 2x markup, right? So they're like, well, I'd rather, pay that guy 30% over what he's getting paid right now, and I'll save money in the end.
Yeah.
And
That's interesting.
Allegedly, this is happening, but they're doing it in a real sneaky way.
Okay.
And they're even paying like hush-up bonuses to people that they're headhunting.
Is this like...
So that those guys will go and say, no, I solicited the job. They didn't solicit
This wouldn't
me.
be illegal or anything.
No, it's just really shitty to do.
Yeah, of course. But
And
like,
if you,
it's just business, right?
I mean, it is. Yeah, it's just it is just business. There's nothing illegal about it, but it's like if you are completely dependent on your sub trades in order to pull off the work that you do,
Yeah.
you cannot be without them, and then you're turning around and dismantling their businesses, and then discontinuing their contracts with you because now you have all their talent.
Here, I'll play the other side of this debate. Although I'll start it by saying I understand where you're coming from and how it's a shitty thing to do, but cut out the middleman, right?
Yeah, I mean,
like why pay a markup?
Yeah.
To somebody when you can just do it yourself, right? Like.
Yeah, I mean it's pragmatic, but again, it's like it's a scorched earth way of running a business.
Yeah, and I think me and you both share the idea that like you can only run a scorched earth business for so long.
Yeah.
Like eventually it's going to catch up with you, whether you call it karma or whatever. Eventually, I think if you fuck everyone over, eventually it's going to catch up with you.
Yeah. So,
and you can only do that for so long.
Yeah. So there's another business that is in a similar position, but when they want to headhunt people, they actually won't accept job applications from anyone that work from any sub-trade contractor. So not only will they not solicit, but they don't actually accept applications. But if they do, and they're actually really interested in someone, they'll approach the business owner and say, we are interested in hiring your employee XYZ. If you're willing to release them, let's work out a price that you're willing to settle. And they'll pay sometimes as much as $5,000 or $10,000 cash to that business, and then they'll take the employee. That's like they'll pay out like a big severance fee.
Okay.
And that's how they maintain their happy relationships.
Yeah, yeah.
Which is that's pretty good. So, I mean, it's not that this other company this other company could absolutely afford to do it. More than easily afford to do it. But they just...
But so wait, did this happen to you? Did
No.
your guy that quit get stolen?
No, but I know, when I mentioned, companies just evaporating in 6 months. There's a really good contractor. He's probably in his late 40s. He had a group of maybe 14 guys, and I think now he's down to 4. Had to sell half of his equipment, and
Because they all got poached?
they all got poached.
Interesting.
They're all working for big builder guy.
Do you think someone's trying to fuck him specifically, or
I don't know.
it's just business?
I don't know, man.
Yeah.
It's rough. I mean, guy got fucking COVID on site and came back, and his company was gone. It was fast.
Hey, snooze you lose, right?
Guess so. But it's snooze you lose. You're up against a 65-year-old company with tens of millions of dollars of liquidity at any given moment.
Yeah. It's there's definitely something to be said about obviously it goes without saying I'm a supporter of small business and local business and whatnot.
It's just
So
it's antitrust behavior,
I
which
go
I
up-
think is shitty.
I go up against the government every single day,
Yeah,
and business doesn't get, or there's no enemy larger than the federal government, right?
true.
I'm rewatching Boardwalk Empire right now.
But they're also not trying to open a winery.
Yeah, well, kind of, right? They manage all the liquor stores, so I'm rewatching Boardwalk Empire right now, and it's about a bootlegger.
Yeah.
And there's an episode where his wife says she's really Catholic, and he was raised Catholic, but doesn't believe in God anymore. And she's like, "Don't you believe in a higher power?" And he's like, "The federal government comes to mind," because he's like getting indicted. But I was just thinking about that, I have empathy for people, but at the same time, it's like no one said starting a business would be easy. Right? It's fucking hardcore a lot of the time. And I think a lot of people need to hear this, is like a lot of people get into business because they think it's going to be easy money and everyone's going to be nice to them. And it's like, it's not like that, right?
Yeah.
And something like your industry especially is because it has such a low barrier to entry and it's filled with meatheads, evidently.
True.
It's very cutthroat, right?
Yeah.
And people don't really, they're not thinking about the small business that they're going to destroy by stealing all the employees. They're thinking about the methadone they can buy
True.
with the extra money that they're earning, right?
Yeah.
But it's I don't know, something about hating players in games, right? Like it's
True.
you know, this is the situation we've all.
Yeah, it's just frustrating for a lot of small businesses when you're running up against, billion-dollar
It's like Walmart
corporations.
putting little mom and pop shops out of business,
it's,
right?
It's
Like,
frustrating as fuck.
what do you do?
I mean,
right?
Turning people communist, I guess. Like,
yeah.
like that's the inevitable conclusion of capitalism, is just complete consolidation of the industries.
Yeah, I always find it interesting when like people that self-describe themselves as like conservatives, start kind of getting disenfranchised with capitalism, but they typically blame communism for it.
Right.
Like, look at everything's getting consolidated, and there's only going to be two companies. Fucking communism.
Literally, yeah.
Like, it's interesting.
It's some mental gymnastics.
Which is fine.
It is bloody amazing.
And like as JL says, that just comes from an uneducated populace, right?
Well, it's not. Yeah, I guess it's intentionally uneducated and well propagandized populace.
Yeah, correct. Yeah,
one and the same. Unfortunately. Yeah, I don't know. It sucks, but at the same time, it's like our business. Even if this happened, like, I wouldn't really be in peril. It's just scaling that's really, really hard. I mean,
well, like
figure.
You and your partners, like your loyalists, you could all run the business still, even if you lost all your other people.
Right.
And
would still be in demand, would still get work.
Yeah, and that's the same thing with like me too, is like Zach and I could run the winery by ourselves. If I lost my staff, it would just be a lot more work, more headache, and probably less sales.
Yeah.
But it would still be alive, right?
Yeah.
And same with your business, I mean.
Exactly,
right? Yeah. And that's because we're fortunate or unfortunate that we still have a big hand in the business and do a lot and are required to be there every day and et cetera,
I mean,
et cetera.
You got it's an element of retaining relevancy in your own company. Like, it's a big thing. Like, there's a precious balance between letting your business do its thing and let your employees do their jobs without being a fucking asshole and hovering over them. But there's also something to be said about, like, you have to maintain relevancy and actually contribute to your business on a daily basis. Because if you don't, I mean, that shit can get away from you real quick.
Well, you look at, like, especially big companies, like public companies with boards of directors and stuff. Often, founder CEOs will get ousted from their own companies.
Yeah.
Steve Jobs is one of the best examples, right?
Yeah.
Where Steve Jobs was undoubtedly the creative mastermind behind Apple, right? Like, Apple would have never been anywhere near without him.
Not just the creative mastermind, but the fucking, like, slave driving
Okay.
project manager.
Yeah, no, I know all the bad stuff, but like without him, that
I mean
company.
that in a good way.
Okay,
Well, that's why they got so much shit done. Like
that company wouldn't have flourished without his creative mind, right?
No.
And they ousted him from his own company. I forget how long he was gone for. It was years,
Yeah.
3 or 5 years, something like that. In which, in his free time after getting ousted, he founded Pixar.
Didn't found it, but
Like came on really early, right?
yeah, they existed, and then he basically came on board and turned them into what they are.
Yeah, and then made a bunch of money and did a bunch of shit back, and then like bought his way back in, and then kicked out that, and then took back. Yeah.
Like Toy Story exists because of Steve Jobs, and
Yeah.
like 3D animation as it stands today was he was one of the fathers of that.
Anyway, but that's just an example. But like a lot of big companies will get rid of their founders because they sit around the board and they go, "What does that guy actually do anymore?"
Yeah.
Like, yeah, sure, his dad founded the company or he founded the company,
Or it's
but
more
it's
so
like,
it's more so he's a liability and he's in the way.
yeah, and
He's doing too much.
and like this is a fiction example, but the United States Office, Steve Carell is the manager, right?
Mhm.
But there's a few episodes where he has to go along on the sales calls,
Yeah.
and he's like the best salesman,
Yeah.
and but he's like an idiot, but it works every fucking time.
Yeah.
And all the other characters are always surprised, but then he's like something along the lines of like, you like sometimes you have to come back out of retirement to prove that you are the best. Like, you're in your position. He's the manager of that branch for a reason.
One of my favorite things about that show is when he occasionally, like a handful of times, probably less than 5 times the entire series, where he kind of breaks character and you can see that he's actually like doing a bit.
Okay. I
Like-
don't know what you're saying.
Like he's not actually the fucking crazy guy that walks down the office and is like completely aloof and whatever. He's like, he knows exactly what he's doing, and he's completely present, and he's
Well,
completely intentional in
my
all the crazy shit he does.
My favorite, and it's not like either of us are like Office fanatics, but like my favorite
I mean,
my favorite subplot in the entire series by far is, I think it's 4 or 5 episodes of the Michael Scott Paper Company, where he gets fired
mm-hmm.
and he starts his own competing paper company in the same building,
Yeah.
in like some closet, and Pam goes with him for some reason
Yeah.
because she's like sick of being a secretary, and then he hires Ryan, who was like the CEO or the CFO or whatever, and got fucking frauded the company and then
Yeah.
got like kicked out. So it's the 3 of them, and they run Dunder Mifflin basically out of business until they buy them back, buy the company out and give them jobs and give
Yeah.
them raises and everything. And there's that one scene of them in the boardroom, and they're like, okay, we're prepared to make you an offer of like $12,000. And Michael's just like, I'm so insulted, like, you know, whatever. And he's like, okay, like we can give you like 60,000 or something. It's like a giant offer, like whatever, right? And then Michael's like, no. And then Ryan and Pam are like, what the fuck are you talking about? And then he's like, you have a board meeting coming up or whatever, right? And he's like, I think it's the end of the quarter, and you have a board meeting coming up, and you have to explain to them why your most profitable branch is bleeding. He's like,
Yeah.
I don't think I have to wait out Dunder Mifflin. I think I have to just outweigh you, because they might want to know change of the CFO or whatever. And
Yeah.
then like Pam and Ryan look in the camera and they're like, what? Like, he just has this fucking plan.
Yeah.
And he's like, that's how, like, because he's been friends with David Wallace for 20 years, and he's just like fucking like just lays into him, and it's just like, oh, this guy might actually be a marketing genius.
Yeah.
Or like his Rolodex that he has is way different. This is a different episode, but he has the Rolodex that's, or I think it actually is that same arc, where it's like they're color coded, but they're kind of color coded like green for go ahead and don't talk about it. And like, cause like Dwight steals his Rolodex to like steal a client.
Yeah.
He's like, how's your gay son? He's like, excuse me? He's like, you're homosexual Mark, the homosexual sophomore. And then it's like a green card, and then it cuts to like the interview. He's like, yeah, it's color coded as green for go ahead and don't talk about it. Like,
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, most of my cards mean don't say it. It's like,
Interesting.
but it's like, was that him fucking up, or was that a master plan? Like, you know?
Yeah, 60 chess.
And obviously that's fiction, but it's interesting to be like, I think there's something to be said that even though you take a more management position as you grow, because like as you do as a business, eventually you need to grow in a more management position. Like that's what I'm seeing right now, right? Like I don't need to be the boots on the ground doing the one-to-one sales much anymore. I need to manage the people doing that.
Yeah.
To help grow. But every so often it's nice to go and do an event with one of them and prove to them that I am indeed the best salesman in this company by a good margin.
Yeah.
Because I just am. And that's why I'm the manager. Because the last thing I want is my employees to be like, why the fuck am I listening to this guy?
Yeah. And also, why do I put up with him? Because inevitably, your employees will have to put up with your idiosyncrasies.
Hey, I pay them to put up with my idiosyncrasies.
Not true.
What do you mean not true?
I think most people would disagree. They'd be like, "Oh, just because you pay me means you can be an asshole to me."
I'm not an asshole to them. I'm very respectful to my employees.
You know what I mean.
No, I don't, Tyler.
A lot of employers think they kind of have liberty to misbehave because they're the ones that sign the paychecks.
I could see that. I'm not like that though.
Yeah, like people take liberties that they really shouldn't.
Yeah.
That they don't deserve.
Yeah.
And that's rough to watch. But yeah, I think like I don't have a problem with being cutthroat in business. Like I am fucking right there too. Like I can be cutthroat.
Let's do this quick.
Yeah, okay. So we're just gonna take a shot because we need to.
I do want to talk about this more, but we're already 40 minutes. We gotta move here to the segment that we call Shot Caller, the part of the show where you, the audience, can pick the shot that we take. Today we're taking a Kahlua shot because we're both sleepy.
True.
And it's coffee, right?
Allegedly. Oh. But yeah, I learned.
Like, I always talk about non-aggression principle. This is going to build off what you're about to say. And consent, right? Like, and I've said this before, it's kind of controversial, but like, if you are in a gang and you get shot, you kind of consented to that because you know you're in a violent gang.
Right.
You've made that decision, right?
Especially if you've already crossed the line and committed violence yourself.
Exactly. And that's why you watch The Sopranos or like Boardwalk Empire, that like these gangsters they're like, we're soldiers.
Right.
Right? And like you've already you might die and that's part of it,
you
right?
signed up for it.
And that's kind of how I think of business as well.
Yeah.
Is that you're signing up for Amazon to fucking cut your throat.
You're signing up to get fucked.
Because it's hard, and we live in this capitalist society that's dominated by these giant corporations, and that's all obvious, right? Like, I don't think anyone's like starting a business being like, oh yeah, this is easy. Well, maybe some people. Actually, I take that back. A lot of people are like, this is going to be easy.
This will be easier than the job I work.
I always feel bad because I do some slower farmers markets.
Yeah.
Like, we do, like, I'm not kidding. Like, we do like 15 a week. I do a lot of farmers markets selling wine. And at the bigger ones, we'll do like $2-3 grand in a few hours, in like a 6-hour market or whatever.
Yeah.
And the slower ones, though, I'll do like $400-500, maybe even $200-300 in like 4 hours, which is like not great, but because I do it myself and, our profit margins are pretty good. It's like, I'm like, fuck yeah, $300. When like a giant corporation would be like, okay, we're not doing that for $300.
Yeah.
Right. But I'm like, fuck yeah. Cause like, I was homeless when I started this business. I never had fucking $300 in a day. Like,
yeah,
in 4 hours, like, fuck it. Right. But I feel bad because I'll do these slower markets with brand new businesses, especially during COVID, because people are they're getting their stimmy checks and fucking starting shitty Etsy businesses, and they don't sell anything.
Yeah.
And it's just like looking at some of their faces, it's like, oh no. Like they just got their spirit crushed. And it's like, not that they're asking for my advice, but like most of the people that I see do that don't have a good product.
Right.
Or don't maybe have a fine product, but it's like so much competition. Like there can only be so many fucking, soap makers and like makeup people and like photographers selling their framed photos. Like there can only be
And-
so many of that,
and
right?
Sterling silver jewelry.
Yeah. The you buy the jewelry kit on Amazon, right? Like stuff like that. There can only be so much. And I always feel bad because did Becky making a sterling silver jewel business over COVID think like, oh, business is fucking hardcore, it's cutthroat, I need to like go in there and like, probably not, right?
It's like, oh, I'm gonna make cute little necklaces, not thinking about what that industry is about.
Yeah. Like most people, like those kind of entrepreneurs, let's say,
Sure.
they probably don't have like a big picture. Like they didn't do like a analysis in their business plan, if they even wrote one, on like the industry and like how it could fuck them and like whatever. But that's like all me and you think of all day,
Yeah.
right? So
Oh yeah. Like not to toot my own horn, but that's what this podcast is for. So fuck off. I spent the initial years of getting into business or wanting to get into business, I just studied human nature.
yeah,
Which is like a really weird way to get into business. Or that's all I thought about and all I read about is like what are the innate ways that people organize themselves, and how do they choose their leaders, and how do leaders maintain, good leadership over their people in a way that their people continue to consent to having that person as their leader and choose them. And then when that person leaves, it's like that's, even though they necessarily weren't bringing, hard value to the company, there's material loss. It's like what makes a leader great? What makes a company great? And then from that, what makes people buy things? What makes people spend money? What makes people afraid? What makes people not spend money? And like consumer psychology, but it all comes down to just human nature, right? If you understand those principles, you can kind of extrapolate anything. And I think the whole idea of like assuming that people are going to treat you nice is not necessarily naivete, which I mean it is, but it's an optimism in people when it's like, I like this person, therefore they probably like me, therefore like we're going to act like friends. When in reality, people only like you usually as far as they can use you.
yeah.
Like in most situations. I'm sorry, honey, that's how it is. Most people only like you as far as they can use you, and that goes for most friendships too.
Did you have an optimism when you got into business?
No.
Yeah, I'm just full of cynicism as far as
I didn't have a fucking bone of it.
Yeah, I don't think so. Yeah.
I never had like, the only point that I ever had a chip on my shoulder where I was like, I was cocky and like coming in with a lot of confidence was when I got my first sales job, but I was completely fronting that, and it was not genuine. I was just doing that because I'm like, a salesman's got to be fucking cocky to get his job.
Yeah.
And it worked.
I have a lot of confidence in my products and in like,
yeah.
I guess like,
Yeah, the opposite of,
see, like, I have a lot of cynicism, but I use it like I'll give you an example. I know I have a good product, right? So it's just a numbers game, right? I gotta show it to this many people. I gotta show it to 100 people, so 10 people will try it, so one person will buy it.
yeah.
And that was where my cynicism came in, was like, not everyone's gonna like it because that's how it works. So I just show more people. And that's how I like took practicality from cynicism. But if I was like, oh, it'll be so easy to sell because everyone's going to buy it, I would have been in a worse position.
Yeah, and I think you also, when the rubber hits the road, you learn real fucking quick that you're wrong.
Yeah. But then a lot of people throw good money after bad. And even though the rubber has hit the road and they're wrong, they keep spending money on a bad idea.
And hey, sometimes that works. I see it works. Like, honestly, the only thing that keeps some businesses going is just the arrogance of the founder.
Yeah, we both know people like that.
It's just like a pig-headedness that
but I don't think you
somehow
can,
pushes that shit over the line.
You can't do it forever, though.
You can't do it forever, but sometimes they find it along the way.
Yeah.
and then are made.
I always say
eventually they're right.
I always say though it's like the Carney method,
Yeah.
where you pick up like after everyone's wise to your bullshit, you pick up and move somewhere else.
Yeah.
And that's what you have to do. But then it's much harder now with the internet. And like, you know, once your business is bad, it stays like, you know,
Yeah.
depending on what the product
you can only
is.
reinvent yourself so many times.
Before, yeah. It's like,
Whoa, that was a bump. It's fine.
so I just spilt a little bit of wine, but most of it landed in a different cup.
Wasn't there mold in this cup?
No, that's the one I moved.
Okay. We keep a very clean bar here. So what I was going to say about the idea of being cutthroat in business is I got to experience kind of the worst examples of that, like really bad actors that just manipulate people in just bad faith ways. And sure, that happens a lot, but also, if you're not cutthroat and not an asshole sometimes, you just get walked over by the people that are willing to do that, right? You can get away with a lot just with, like, that angry white privilege, you know, interrogation of someone. Or an entitlement kind of mindset. So, like, what I've really kind of agonized over is, like, how do I become someone that's really hard-edged and cutthroat, but in an ethical way?
So I always talk about being respectful but firm.
Right.
Right?
Same idea, yeah.
So here's a good example is actually the wine that we're currently drinking. This is our
really firm.
This is our rosé made from Manitoba grapes, and it's obviously quite acidic and dry because I grow grapes in a region that you shouldn't be able to grow grapes in. So it doesn't happen super often, but I've had a couple people complain about it.
Yeah.
Well, and mostly because their palates are bad.
Fair.
But they're like, oh, it's turned to vinegar.
Right.
And it's like, no, it's just acidic.
Yeah.
And like, fine, you don't like that. That's fine. But don't be like, this is bad. You sold me a bad product. It's fucking vinegar. My partner's getting, like, after it happened, I think it happened like 3 times in the last couple months. And he's like, the next person that asked me that, I'm going to pour them a shot of white vinegar and try to make them blind taste test it.
Right.
Does this taste like fucking vinegar to you?
Yeah.
Like, you know, it, like, for the record, if a wine has gone bad and it's turned to vinegar, you will know.
Yeah.
It's not like, oh, it tastes kind of vinegary. It is,
undrinkable.
You will fucking, like, it literally will taste like white vinegar you put on your fucking fries.
Yeah.
Just kidding. Most of our audience is in America, and they don't do that.
Fuck you guys.
Yeah, they're so weird. I remember being in America and asking for vinegar for the fries. They're like, can I have some vinegar? And they're like, what? And I'm like,
Malt vinegar?
like vinegar. And they had to, like, pour it out of a big 8-liter jug into a thing.
Dope.
But anyway, so there was only one person a couple weeks ago that asked for a refund.
Yeah.
And I said, like, unless there's a defect with the product, I'm not going to refund you a bottle just because you didn't like it.
No.
There's a reason why we have 15 products. Like, not everyone's fucking palate is the same. And I'm sorry you didn't enjoy it, but I'm not going to refund you because you didn't like a product.
Yeah.
And I used my customer service tone. I'm being very rude right now saying it, but like,
Sure.
I was respectful, but and they kept pushing it, and I was very firm with, like, no, like, I'm stand behind my products, and I'm not, you know, just because it wasn't to your taste, I'm not refunding the bottle.
Yeah.
You know,
It's like me installing a product for someone, and they're like, well, I don't like it. I'd be like, well, you fucking paid for it. You bought it. You chose it.
Yeah. So, you know, it is what it is. Like, and definitely, like, if there's people, like, and especially, it's so hard to know because I sell to so many people, tens of thousands of people, right? It's so hard to know if someone actually is trying to scam you.
Yeah,
or
absolutely.
they're you know, it's like the people that eat 90% of a steak and then go, oh, it was overdone. I need it free.
Yeah.
Right? It's like, how am I supposed to know this person didn't drink half the bottle or all the bottle? Because there's been a couple times where I'm like, okay, bring the bottle back. This was like earlier days when I didn't know as much.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, if you want to return the bottle, bring the bottle back. And then they'd be like, oh, I poured it out.
Right.
And I'm like, how the fuck am I supposed to know you didn't drink it all? And then trying to get me to refund it.
Yeah.
Like, and like, I'm sure most of my customers wouldn't do that, but how the fuck am I supposed to know, right?
Man, one of the first consumer, I guess, what is it? It's not consumer law. Okay, so we're going to take another
We're going
shot.
to take a second shot because on shot caller, if we take a shot that's under 40%, we always take another one.
Anyway, we went to like a consumer court in for BC. And so if you're like a consumer of any product, instead like you can file a civil suit, and they have like a specific one that's meant like to protect consumers.
Okay, because we only have just small claims here.
Yeah, so this is a level between small claims and the
Suing somebody?
and nothing.
Oh, okay.
So
So it's even like lower.
It's
barrier
below
entry.
civil claims. Yeah,
Okay,
it's just
'cause
arbitration.
Small claims is like $50 to get
Yeah.
in front of a judge.
Well, it's not different in cost, but it's in terms of like it's pre-legal. Like, it's basically like an arbitration system
Okay, so it's like
between
not.
consumers and companies.
They're not like peace. They're not like justices
No,
or like anyone you. Okay.
no, they're basically like lawyers, and then if you can't settle it, then it goes to a civil suit.
Yeah. Okay.
So I got involved in a couple of these, and one of them,
What was this for? Sorry, what company? Oh, can you say it or?
yeah, for the real estate coaching.
Right. Okay.
So guy buys digital product,
Yeah.
and this is a $5,000 package
Why are you in a BC court?
because we're doing events in BC.
Oh, okay. And he bought it in BC.
Yeah.
Okay. Even though you were headquartered here and it was a digital product, you still had to go to court
because
there?
we sold it there.
Did you fly out there?
Yeah, we were there. It was an event.
Oh, and they sued you fast enough that you...
No, like it was done weeks later
Yeah, but how'd
because
you...
we refused to refund them. But it was all
But
done.
did you-
It's all done over the phone.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, did you fly back to court?
No,
Okay.
no, you don't have to. You
Okay,
can
okay.
either. It's all done over the phone, and then you can, if there's actual court, whatever. Obviously, you can send a representative.
Yeah.
But
Zoom court, baby.
yeah,
That was
for
before
real.
that, but...
Yeah. But anyway, so this arbitration started over the phone, and our defense was basically we sold this guy a digital product, and his issue with it was the production value of the videos wasn't very good, although the content was exactly what he had paid for. But he's like, oh, this is just a recycled webinar. It's like, well, it's a recorded training video. Like, it's no different than if you were to go get a university degree online. Same idea.
Yeah, you're not going to sue your university for giving you a online course versus a in-person course.
It was like between 400 and 600 hours of content, plus there was like a physical binder, like a physical asset, which was I don't know, somewhere between 250 and 400,000 words, like not insignificant. In addition to the digital, and then there was on top of that an actual like active live, whatever. Weekly webinar, I think, where you could actually interact with the coaches, or no, it was monthly webinar. So it's like it was a pretty good product. It was worth the money if you're, if that's what you're looking for. Obviously, if you're not into real estate, it's not worth a fucking dime to you. But anyways, this guy buys his digital product. He has access to it. He has an access key for a month because he paid for it. We give it to him. Paid for it in full up front, and he tries to get a refund on it. And I'm like, I'm not going to refund you a digital product you've had access to for a month, and you could have copied all the assets out of it. And now you just want to say that you thought the production value was too low and you wanted to get the money back. And it's like,
Did you have like a money back
No.
policy at all, even if it was like 24 hours?
it was, I think the refund policy that we had was 7 days, maybe?
Yeah, okay, so that's a reasonable refund policy, I would say.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
something like that. But that's before we would give the access key, because it would take about 7 days processing before we'd give people their access to the information, and like an onboarding whole process. Like if you wanted to refund before the onboarding was finished, then sure. But after he got into the product, started watching the stuff, he's like, oh, I don't like how these look. Obviously I hadn't consumed the information, couldn't have, because it was hours that he had spent on it. So yeah, he's like, I want my money back. And we're like, no, fuck you, you've had access to a digital digital product, and you could copy it. You have fully taken possession of it and ownership of it. You can't just change your mind about it. And yeah, it was a very interesting. Like I could tell that the person that was doing the arbitration was expecting an open shut, because I think she's dealt with a lot of these things before, and like
where they were like legitimate scammers, and
right. So
not that you weren't. You may have been a legitimate scammer. Who knows?
I was a really legitimate scammer. Yeah. But yeah, so the person doing the arbitration
wasn't your idea though.
No, yeah, she was. I think she was kind of surprised with my defense like line of reasoning, and it really dragged on, and I ended up quitting the company before it concluded. And as soon as I left, it went down to whatever another person in the company, and then literally next phone call they lost the case. Whatever money had to go back to this fucking guy, but I think it just went to like the bookkeeper. She didn't know what the fuck was going on. Couldn't mount an argument, but I'm like, God damn, I should be a lawyer. This is a lot of fun.
Right?
Don't want to be a lawyer.
No, me neither.
But yeah, it was really interesting, because it's that same idea of like, this guy could just be a scam artist. Like, who knows if he just goes to seminars, buys shit, gets it, and then files suit to get a refund, because he knows the consumer laws in BC are the most consumer oriented in the entire country, and companies will just be like, yeah, whatever.
And then
Here's
he
your money
could be
back.
reselling it. Who knows?
Or he could just be a guy that likes spending money on shit and then just has buyer's remorse and gets away with it.
Yeah.
Which is like a real thing. Buyer's remorse is a real fucking thing.
Yeah.
And even if somebody completely wants to buy that thing in the moment, they change their mind later on. And chargebacks, credit card chargebacks, they can really be a facility for that person to, get their money back, which really sucks.
I think a credit card chargeback, if you pursue it, is a legal action, I believe.
Sort of.
Because
it's extra legal. It's done within. It's done and arbitrated by Visa and MasterCard.
But correct me if I'm wrong. If you knowingly, like, if you do a chargeback, even though you've received the product, you can be charged with fraud.
Right, but
legally.
that would be additional to the chargeback procedure.
Well, I guess Visa would like come to their conclusion, and then you could sue.
Well, Visa would have a lawyer that would file a thing against you.
Yeah, but I think you can get like fined by like the government for fraud.
For sure. Because Visa would have excellent documentation of you committing that fraud, and they would, refer it to the legal department. The legal department would then pursue that through the courts. But the actual chargeback is like a legal procedure, but it is actually completely within a private corporation.
The only time I've ever done a credit card chargeback, I've never done one as a consumer. I don't give a shit about buyer's remorse. I'm one of those people that like, if I buy something on Amazon, doesn't fit, I just take the L.
Yeah, literally.
Like fuck it. The only time we ever did it was we had a debit machine for from this company I won't name.
Mm-hmm.
And we switched off of it, and I emailed them to cancel the contract. Well, we didn't have a contract. I didn't sign shit.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, hey, I want to like cancel it, whatever, right? So I guess there was these two separate companies, but they worked together.
Yeah.
One was for the physical machine. One was for like the processing.
Yeah.
So when I called to cancel, the person for the processing was like, yeah, whatever. Set me up, canceled the account, closed all the bank accounts, like took all the whatever, all that, closed the account, and then closed it so I didn't have a password anymore, like closed it, right?
Yeah.
And then we kept getting charged for the machine because it was like separate, right?
Yeah.
So then we call, and then this took us a while to notice because I have fucking 5,000 charges every month. But we contacted them, and I mean, it was like 30, 40, 50, $60 a month, whatever it was. And they said, well, okay, yeah, we can cancel it. We just need like all your login information. And I'm like, well, that was all. They're like, go online, log in. It's like, well, I don't have that account anymore. I've closed it. Right.
Yeah.
And then, so we get bounced around to people complaining, blah, blah, blah. And we eventually get to someone that's like, yeah, well, you signed a 3-year contract. So you have to pay us $2,000 to buy it out, or just keep paying the monthly payments for 3 years.
Yeah.
And then I said, show me the contract. Like, send me the contract. And they said, yep, we'll get our, legal account to do that right away. Another month goes by, we pay it. comes out, like, because it's a pre-authorized debit or whatever.
Right.
Another month goes out, it takes it out of our bank account. No one ever sent me a fucking contract. So we call and email again. Okay, if we're under fucking contract, show us this fucking contract. Still, another month goes by, they charge us. No contract. No one ever does it. We charge back the charge, or I guess it was on credit card, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
We charge back the charge. It gets reversed. Never charged us again.
Yeah, because
And this is like a big company, and they were straight up lying because I didn't sign shit. They were straight up being like, no, you have a contract, and just kept charging us. So when we said, let's see the contract, they just kept charging us and ignoring us.
Because also fun fact, when you initiate a chargeback, the second you hit that button, it actually will remove that money from the company's account, and it holds it in escrow. Like it's held in suspension until that's settled.
And I was prepared to do that every month.
Yeah.
But I had to go down to the bank to do it.
Yeah.
Which is why we
also,
didn't.
you can file a stop payment on a pre-auth.
That's what we had to do.
Do you reverse it or do you stop payment?
Both.
Okay.
But
stop payment costs you like $5.
Yes, that's well. Okay,
every time.
We did the stop payment or whatever, because we could do that online. But the removing the pre-auth, we had to go down to the bank, and we were like busy, and we didn't do it and then we kept forgetting.
Yeah.
So I probably gave them 4 or 5 months worth of fucking payments I shouldn't have. But the fact that as soon as I stopped it, they didn't try to reach out and be like, hey, why'd you cancel this? This is illegal. You broke our 3-year contract.
Yeah.
No.
You just walked away.
There was no fucking contract.
Yeah.
And they were just lying to. And that's fucking scummy. And this is a big company. Like, yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of that shit where there's these middlemen that will put up a lot. They'll like put up a lot of fight, and they'll make a big stink about something when there's not a lot of substance.
What is
it.
the Oh fuck! Now I forget. There's there's a business, like a big one, that just counts on people not. Oh, it's like free month. You get the first month free trial, but you have to put your credit card number in.
Yeah.
And I read an article or something about. I remember reading about this recently. I was like, what? Because the numbers they were using seemed ridiculous, like billions of dollars. I'm like, what? But apparently there's like billions of dollars of people that just fuck up and forget to remove their credit card number.
Yeah.
Charges them once and then they stop it, and they could get a refund, but it's not worth the hassle for $13.
Right.
And like this company that fucking Forbes or whoever was doing an investigation was like, oh yeah, this company made like $6 billion just on that. On just like people being too either lazy, shy, or whatever to get their $12 back.
Yeah.
And I'm like, excuse what? Like, that's a wild fucking business plan.
Yeah.
Never put your fucking credit card into a machine that you're not expecting to get charged.
Yeah,
never.
unless you're fully committed.
Yeah, never.
Yeah.
I don't think that's a big thing anymore, but that used to be a bigger thing where it was like free trial, put your credit card number in.
Yeah, it's a lot harder to sell these days.
People don't do that anymore.
But now there's also now there's the counter services. There's tech companies that have that will just take care of all the unsubscribe bullshit for you, where they you can just be like, I want to unsubscribe that and get a refund, and they do all the legwork,
and then you pay them,
and they get a cut of
Look
the
at
money
this.
you get back.
Look at this. This is an industry out of an industry.
Yeah, exactly. It's a big, but it really kind of tamped that down, I think, because now you had a very competent big company going against another big company, and they just settle quick because like, fuck, these guys are calling whatever, settle it.
Yeah,
it's not worth it.
Yeah.
And it's that kind of perceived power against power, which just settles quick, and then everyone kind of wins, which I think is hilarious.
There's another thing that's kind of like that. There's a guy locally here, shout out Radar Rodney, who he's a I guess former or current lawyer. I think he's a current lawyer, but like former police officer, something like that. Anyway, but he helps you with your radar tickets, right? Or radar tickets or parking tickets, speeding ticket, any tickets. He helps you with them. And the deal is whatever he gets knocked off the ticket, you split it with him. So like I go to him And he's great because you could just like mail him your ticket and you just sign on the back like, yeah, I give Radar Rodney my approval to deal with this. And then he just deals with it for you and he sends you an email like of an invoice. So like I had like a $400 speeding ticket. He got it knocked in half by $200. So I paid him $100. I saved $100. So that's like the deal. And I was kind of asking people like how this functions like as a business, like how does he pull this off, how does he get away with it? And apparently what it is like Radar Rodney walks into the courtroom and with like 400 tickets, because every single person, all the people that have paid him, right, he walks in with a stack of tickets and he goes, okay, judge, every single one of these people has a right, like by law, I'm their lawyer, they have a right to have their full case heard. So we either take the next 9 months going over every single one of these tickets, or you agree right now, cut all of them by 50% no matter what it is. And they're like, yep, deal, done. And then he just like sends them all to us and be like, yep, got to cut in half.
Yeah, you're just gaming the system back, which I think is brilliant.
Yeah.
I mean,
thanks, Radar. Shout out Radar Rodney. If you're in the Winnipeg, Manitoba area, I highly recommend him. He's gotten me out of some jams.
Yeah. But yeah, that kind of goes to the idea that I was building to of how do you maintain a cutthroat personality in business and just a way of operating that's still ethical. I think Radar Rodney's got the right idea for sure. And
well, it's always ethical to fuck the government over.
True. And it's always ethical to hold someone to their commitment, I think.
Okay.
Like, so for example, like me with this glass company where they're kind of fucking me around.
You paid for a product, you should get the product.
Yeah, and I will not hesitate to either ask for a refund or ask for the situation to be rectified, more quickly than the original service was provided. Like there should be a certain expediency and expectation to, I guess, remedying something that you made a mistake of. And it's like, I'm not going to let you fucking go. Like, I'm not giving you an inch.
Most of the West...
And I will be an asshole about it.
Most of the West, especially Canada and America, are built on contract law, right?
Yeah.
Like, that's how capitalism is built, is agreements between two people, right?
Yeah.
And I think... I'm a pretty big proponent. I think...
I love contract law.
If you make a contract, you should honor the contract, right?
Yeah.
Like, that's...
if only the government was held to that same...
Oh, yeah, no. I've had like... Well, I've had the Manitoba Liquor Board literally break written contracts and just tell me to go fuck myself. Like, oh, if you don't like it, sell liquor somewhere else.
Yeah.
Constantly.
And that's literally politicians.
And what am I going to do? Like, I could sue them, but then they've also said, okay, if you sue us, we're going to remove your liquor from all our stores.
Yeah.
Like, so, yeah.
It's fine.
Contract law, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, it's great for companies and also...
everyone, every individual.
Yeah,
right?
Especially for governments, because they don't have to follow it.
Okay, well, whatever. Anyway, we'll transition here into the final segment of the show that we call Tip of the Week or Tip of the Morning or whatever. I cut out the maybe if you are listening by now, will have changed it, but I couldn't fucking change the music intro to not get YouTube's auto copyright strike. I tried pitching it down. I tried pitching it up. I tried fucking editing it. I couldn't get it. So I'm going to have to like re-record it, like the entire music, I think, myself to like not get...
That's some commitment to the bit.
Well, but I can't... I'm behind editing episodes because my summers are so busy, so I'm not going to fucking do this. So I've just removed it at this point. But it will be coming back at some point.
It will make a comeback.
It will make a comeback. So tip of the morning... Do you have I got one off the top of my head I'm going to start with.
Sure.
I could have gone on for a fucking hour rant when I was talking earlier about like having confidence in your product. Like enough to be like, no, this is a good product. You just don't like it.
Yeah.
And I've said that to people because you're fucking like, especially with alcohol, I hate vodka.
Fair.
And vodka's the highest selling fucking thing. Dude, so many people hate wine, just wine in general.
Yeah.
Or beer or whatever, right? Something I love, people just hate.
Yeah.
And it's not a bad... That sidebar pisses me off so much. There's a fucking app called Untapped where you rate beers.
Yeah.
And people fucking rate good beers 1 star because they didn't like it.
Yeah.
When you, like, if you ever go to a professional wine taster or beer tasting or whiskey tasting thing, they don't judge it based on how they liked it. They judge it based on, does it hit this characteristic? Does it taste like this, how it should? Like, do you get notes of this?
Oh, dude, it's like movies. It's like people are like, I didn't like it.
So it's a 1 star. And it's like, this is a beer made to style.
Yeah.
You just don't like sour beer.
Right.
But it should taste like this, right?
Yeah.
So like a Cicerone that's like objective would be like, I don't like sours, but this hits all the marks. It's a 4 out of 5, right?
Right.
But you get fucking people on this app that just rate shit 0
Based on
or
personal
1
preference.
based on personal preference, which is just, don't get me fucking started on this shit.
But like, I think movies is a great parallel because people just say like, oh, that movie sucked. It's like, well, no, actually, it was really good in these ways.
Here, I always say this: change your language from "it was bad" to "I didn't enjoy it."
Right.
Right? Because
Exactly.
a lot of times it's
Big
not.
difference.
It's the huge difference, right? And it's valid to not like something.
Yeah.
That's fine. Everyone does, but saying it was bad,
It's saying it's objectively bad.
yeah. So which a lot of things that people don't like are objectively not bad,
Yeah.
right? So
Like
that
communism.
happens with my product a lot. Different, like my raspberry wine. I had someone give me a 1 star review on Google because it tasted like juice. Quote.
Well,
Like, and that's one of the biggest compliments I get about it is that it tastes like juice.
yeah.
It's fermented raspberries. What the fuck do you want it to taste like?
Coke?
This is what it's supposed to taste like.
Yeah.
Like, or I had
That's all that's in there is juice.
I had a 1 star review from it's old juice.
What do you think wine is?
What do you think wine is?
It's fermented juice, buddy.
We got a 1 star review for our vodka sodas for being tasted like flavored water. It's like,
oh my God.
yeah, it's supposed to. I told my friend that, and then he gave us a 5 star review immediately after and said it tastes like, he did the same review.
Yeah,
he's like, it tastes like water, and like the copy pasted from the other review, and then ... because it's supposed to. Like, but
Amazing.
yeah. So my tip of the morning is to have enough confidence in your product as a business owner that you can be like, no, you just didn't like it. And that's fine, but I'm not going to let you tell me. Like, I'm not up at night thinking about how these people don't like one of my wines.
Yeah.
Because I know in my heart that it is a product that I stand behind.
Yeah.
And if it's not, you shouldn't be selling it. That's a whole different argument. But I think having that confidence behind your own products and producing stuff that you personally think is worth selling to somebody, you can't go wrong. I think that's the biggest baseline you should make on your business, and you can't be knocked off that pedestal.
Yeah, absolutely agree. I have customers that ask for things, and I will vigorously disagree with them because I know that the final result is bad or not, whatever. Like, maybe the maintenance will suck, like living with it will suck, even though it looks good in the magazine. Like, you're not going to like it in 3 months, and therefore I'm going to make you change your mind, or I'm just going to be like, you know what? I'm not going to warranty this type of thing. There's no satisfaction guarantee on this because I advise you against it. And just make that very clear and take a stance on it, even if you disagree with the customer, because in a lot of cases, especially when it comes to, design-oriented things, things that are very subjective, people think they like something, but in reality, when it stares them in the face and they have to live with it every day, they're like, oh, this is gaudy, this is cliched, this is terrible, this is gross, or maybe this is just impractical, I don't like it, like this is something that I don't actually enjoy, like it look cool in the picture, but fuck this. And I see this shit every day. It's like, I will give you sound advice on what you should do because I genuinely care about what I put out.
Dude, I see people
Like,
chug Bud Light and fucking Baby Duck.
hurts me.
People just don't. It's fine, honestly. Like, I am not a wine snob. I'm very like, if you like it, you like it. I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
But the average consumer just doesn't know.
No.
Which is fine.
They just wanted some alcohol.
True.
They want some juice.
True.
Some spicy juice.
Why is it spicy?
I think my tip of the morning would kind of go back to my initial points about just suffering in the service industry, where you gotta anticipate getting fucked, and how are you gonna build against it instead of thinking that you're immune to it for whatever noble reasons or attributes you think that you have. Nobody's immune to this, and it doesn't matter how much you like someone or how much you think you are liked by someone. That shit can turn really fast, and before you know it, you'll be out on your ass, and you'll be like, oh my god, how did that happen? They fucked me over. And you're a victim. Yeah, sure, you're a victim, but being a victim doesn't get you anything. And unfortunately, in today's society, being a victim can be, respected and appreciated by other people. Like, victimhood is almost glorified, which, I mean, I don't want to waste any time on that topic, but
It's the Sopranos where Christopher says to rest in peace, Tony Sicaro, what was his character's name? Paulie?
Mm-hmm.
Where he says, it's like, don't you ever worry, like, nothing good will ever happen to you in life? And then Paulie goes, yeah, and it didn't, so what? Like, rest in peace, King.
Yeah, that. Expect to get fucked. And there ain't no friends in business. Doesn't mean you can't be friendly. Doesn't mean you can't be nice. Doesn't mean you can't be a trustworthy person and have ethics.
But like you said, everyone's out for number one.
Everyone's out for number one, and you just can't take it personally. I think number one is never take it personally when people do something shitty to you or to your friends. You can treat them, as a pariah. You can be like, that person's got no fucking ethics, that person doesn't value personal relationships, and you can just tag them as that. Be like, hey, don't trust that person, they're gonna fuck you. That's fine, but you don't need to take that personally at the same time. Like, there's people out there that I just won't associate with because that's their entire mentality, is like, I'm out for number one, fuck everyone else. It's like, great, you can do that, but I'm not gonna associate with you.
Which is your right.
Exactly. So you do you, I'll do me, fuck you, stay out of my way. And it's just, I'm not going to do business with you, or I'm not going to associate with you, I'm not going to be a friend to you, I'm not going to be helpful to you. Like, I don't care to be in your network because I don't agree with you. Both those things can be okay, and you still not take it personally. So, yeah, be fucking aware. And I hope this is a wake-up call to somebody.
Thanks for listening to Alcohol Beyond This Point. This was episode 81, where I think we really did stay on business topics pretty much the entire time.
Really out of character.
Really out of character for us, but wow.
Alcohol Beyond This Point podcast.
This isn't two podcasters talking business. This is two business guys trying to podcast.